Bhikkhu Ganabodhi, lecturer, Pali literature and Theravada Buddhism at International Buddhist College, Thailand. Dhamma brothers and sisters, dear participants is Untitled Dhamma English Club. Very good afternoon. My name is Thọ Chan. It's really honorable, liberated and happy for me to be the moderator for the interactive talk and discussion today. So, before starting our virtual meeting and dialogue, I would like to invite all of us to put your palms together to recite the Buddha's name for 3 times in Pali language. May I request Venerable Thích Đồng Đắc to raise the voice first. Venerable.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Thank you very much, Bante. Next, I would like to announce the tentative program today as follows. 1. Introducing guest participants. 2. Opening speech and introducing chief guest by Dhamma Sister Thanh Ly. 3. Main speech by our chief guest, Dr. Bhikkhu Ganabodhi, lecturer of Pali literature and Theravada Buddhism at the International Buddhist College, Thailand. 4. Q&A session. 5. Vote of thanks by Dhamma Sister Linh Lạc. 6. Closing program by the traditional song of the club, I Have a Right, I Am Home. In this meaningful and interactive meeting today, it's really my pleasure and honorable for us to welcome Dr. Bhikkhu Ganabodhi, lecturer of Pali literature and Theravada Buddhism at the International Buddhist Thailand. Venerable Dr. Thích Đồng Đắc, founder and president of Untitled Dhamma English Club, Vietnam. On Dhamma brothers and sisters, a member of the club on NTM. Once again, warmly welcome you onto this great virtual meeting today. To understand our Untitled Dhamma English Club as well as great biology of our guest speaker today, now I would like to invite Dhamma Sister Thanh Ly for opening remarks and introducing our chief guest. Sister, please, over the mic to you.
Yes. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, respected Mahasangha, respected Dr. Bhikkhu Ganabodhi, the all member of the Untitled Dhamma English Club, the Dhamma brother and sister, very good afternoon to you all. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Bhikkhu Ganabodhi to our Untitled Dhamma English Club in the School of Buddhist Study, Vietnam. Thank you so much, Venerable, for our kind acceptance of our invitation as the guest speaker today. Let me take a few minutes to give you all brief introduction of the School of Buddhist Study and Untitled Dhamma English Club. As we know, the School of Buddhist Study is one of the top schools in the field of Buddhist study in Vietnam, which sent a large number of months and nuns to 3 Vietnam Buddhist University in Ho Chi Minh City, Hue and Hanoi capital. Our students are usually adult students at the entrance exam progress program in their university. For the betterment of year of English, the Untitled Dhamma English Club were founded by Venerable Dr. Thích Đồng Đắc in School of Buddhist Study at Edinburgh in 2020. With participation of more than 200 monks and nuns, we are active in learning the Dhamma English under the form of Buddhist English Club that we use English as a medium language to understand the Buddha teaching, along with improvement of four necessary skills of reading, speaking, listening, and writing for our members. It will be a strong foundation and valuable preparation for them to study abroad in future. It's a basic step for a member of the club to have a good chance to learn Dhamma through English and to understand English under the form of the Dhamma. We will have a good approach to prominent speaker, scholar, teacher, and professor in the field of Buddhist study. From different countries in different Buddhist traditions, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Thailand, Sri Lanka, India for Theravada tradition, Vietnam, China, Japan, and Korea for Mahayana Buddhism, and Mongolia, Bhutan, Tibet for Vajrayana Buddhist tradition. Today is our sitting dialogue with Dr. Bhikkhu Ganapudi in 2022 in the series of weekly international meeting of the Untitled Dhamma in the Club in the School of Buddhist Study in Vietnam. Bhikkhu Ganapudi was born in Chittagong, Bangladesh. In the year 1994, he was ordained as a seminary noviceman at the village temple after spending a year as a seminary and receiving necessary monist training from the Bangladesh Bhikkhu Training and Meditation Center. He had obtained higher ordination and got a name Bhikkhu Ganapudi. Bhikkhu Ganapudi obtained a PhD Religious Study from International Buddhist College, Thailand. He followed 1 year course in MA Buddhist Study at the University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, and subsequently obtained an MA Buddhist Study from the University of Hong Kong and a PhD Buddhist Study from the Mahidol University, Thailand. His research interests are Pali literature, Theravada Buddhism, and early Buddhist philosophy. Currently, Bhikkhu Ganapudi is the lecturer of the Pali literature and Theravada Buddhism at the International Buddhist College, Thailand. It is with great spiritual that Dr. Bhikkhu Ganapudi has accepted our invitation as the guest speaker to have a talk with our 200 members of the club to the content of Buddha Instruction 1 on the study and practice of the Dhamma. Once again, thank you for joining us and welcome you, Venerable.
Thank you very much, Dhamma Sister Thanh Nguyen. Now, may I request Dr. Bhikkhu Ganapudi, lecturer of literature and Theravada Buddhism at the International Buddhist College, Thailand, to give your main speak on Buddha instruction on the study and practice of the Dhamma today. Over the mic to you, Venerable.
Thank you. Can I share my computer screen?
Yes, yes, Bante. Now you can share your screen, Bante. Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, thanks to Sister Thang Nhi. Yeah, for the introduction. So I would like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to Venerable Dr. Thich Dong Tak, founder and president of the Nguyen Thieu Dhamma English Club, for kindly inviting me today to have a Dhamma sharing with everyone who has participated in today's program. I also express my thanks to everyone in carrying out today's program. Before going into today's topic of discussion, I'd like to spend a few moments speaking about the great Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. So, as you all know, this great Buddhist teacher has just passed away recently, and the whole world is actually saddened by the passing away of this great master. His contributions for the world peace are enormous. Personally, I have read many of his books and poems that always remind me of myself and true being, my true potentialities. In 2011, I was fortunate enough to meet him once and listen to his beautiful Dharma talk in Hong Kong. I wholeheartedly wish that the most venerable attains nirvana, and wish that the followers of this great master would continue to spread his message of peace and interbeing in the world. So as you can see on the screen, I have just, presented one of his beautiful poem where he says that you are me and I am you. Isn't it obvious that we inter are? You cultivate the flower in yourself so that I will be beautiful. I transform the garbage in myself so that you will not have to suffer. I support you, you support me. I am in this world to offer you peace. You are in this world to bring me joy. So what is obvious in this great master's teaching is that he connects everything and everyone, together. Okay, so this is a very beautiful approach to connect everything. So when we connect ourselves with every situation, everything without judging, there is just oneness. And then when we try to become beautiful ourselves, everything that comes in contact with us, around us, also become beautiful. So this is another passage of this great master that I have quoted here, as he talks about interbeing, saying that together we are one. So this is a very beautiful passage to explain his message, where he says that if you are a poet, you will see clearly that there is a cloud floating in this sheet of paper. Without a cloud, there will be no rain. Without rain, the trees cannot grow. And without trees, we cannot make paper. The cloud is essential for the paper to exist. If the cloud is not there, not here, the sheet of paper cannot be here either. So we can say that the cloud and the paper are inter-are or interbeing. So this, you can see some of his books that I am very much familiar with, and I appreciate his message in these books. Okay, so I think slowly we can proceed to discuss on today's topic. A little bit of sharing from my side. I have been to Vietnam in 2014 actually to join the United Nations Day of Vesak celebration and conference that was held in Bai Ding Pagoda in Ninh Bai province. It was my first visit to Vietnam, in the Ninh Bai province. Yeah, so it was wonderful to know that Venerable Dr. Thich Nhat Hanh has founded this Nguyen Theo Dhamma English Club under the Bai Ding School of Buddhist Studies to study and learn the Dhamma in the medium of English language. Personally, I feel while it is very important to be skilled in one's own language, it is also equally important in the context of the modern world to have a good ground in English language. It opens a new door for you to know the world, and especially as it is the focus of the Nguyen Theo Dhamma English Club, it will open an opportunity for you to have Dhamma knowledge preserved in English language, and you would have a skill to communicate your understanding of the Dhamma in the same language as well. So my focus today, as you can see on the topic, is to say a few words regarding the Buddha's instructions on the study and practice of the Dhamma. So I will be talking about what the Buddha himself said in the suttas regarding the methods and attitudes that one should have in order to properly study, understand, and practice the Dhamma. So I will look at some of the suttas that focus on this issue and present to you the discussions as it is addressed within those suttas with some beautiful and inspiring similes and metaphors. First of all, as you can see on the screen, there is a Pali passage with its English translation. I would be reading through this to understand how the Buddha expressed the rarity of human existence. So he said, Apamadena bhikkhave sampadeta buddhupado dullabo lokasmin manusatta bhavo dullabo dullaba saddha sampatti pabajita bhavo dullabo saddhamma savanang ati dullabam evang divase divase yovadi handadani bhikkhave amantayami vo vaya dhamma sankhara appamadena sampadeta. The last statement, especially, the Buddha said when he was passing away, before his passing away, when he was at the deathbed, all his disciples, all the monks, everybody was grieving, everybody was sad because the Buddha is passing away. Buddha is entering into nirvana. So the Buddha said that it is the nature of existence, the conditioned existence, that everything is impermanent. So carry out your practice diligently. Do not waste time. But before that, in the first paragraph, what we see here is that he was talking to the monks, saying that monks work diligently. Arising of the Buddhas is rare in the world. It is not easy to have a Buddhas. Okay, having human existence is rare. Now, becoming a human being, being born as a human being, is also very rare, very difficult. Developing sincere devotion is rare. Now, there are many people in the world, but how many of the people have great devotion to the Buddha, to the teaching of the Buddha? So it is also very rare to have devotion in human being towards the Buddha and his teaching. Renouncing home life is rare. And many people who come to know the teaching of the Buddha, they do not go by the teaching. They are not convinced by the teaching. They do not renounce. Being able to hear the true Dhamma is very rare. So getting in touch with a good guru, good teacher, good master, and having good Dhamma teaching from him is also very rare. The master instructs thus day in and day out that all conditioned things are impermanent. Carry out your practice diligently. So this is to say that we are very fortunate because we are born as a human being, and we are born in a time when Buddha's teaching is still present, and we are able to read or listen to the teaching of the Buddha. So we should be very serious about this teachings so that we are able to understand at least part of it. Now, Prince Siddhartha's life itself is a great example. Now, we all know that he was born as a prince in a royal family, right? So if he did not renounce his home life, if he did not leave his home, he would become a king, but he did not want to become a king. When he came to see these four sights, especially the sight of an old person, the sight of a dead person, and a sight of a sick person, and also the sight of an ascetic. When he saw these four sights, he decided that he does not want to become a king. He wants to find out the truth about our existence. And he left home. He spent 6 years in the jungle under so many teachers to practicing different types of austerities. Finally, he became the Buddha, and after becoming a Buddha for 45 years, he gave his teaching. Now, what we can see here is that these three significant qualities. First of all, firm resolution. It is very, very important to have a firm resolution. What do you want to do in life, and how do you want to do it? So one's goal has to be right, and then persistent effort. One has to make effort. Just setting the goal is not enough. One has to make continuous effort to pursue that goal and then right direction. So if your effort is great, but the direction is wrong, then also it is not going to be helpful. So this is what we can see in the life of the Buddha. Now, as I have been saying, we are born as a human being, so I think we are very, very fortunate and we are able to discuss the teaching of the Dhamma. But do you have sufficient faith in the triple gems, that is in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, and in the Sangha, and a strong determination to study and practice the Dhamma? So we are born as a human being. We know that there are Buddhist teachers. Buddha's teachings are available in text in different places. But are we convinced by that? Do we have enough faith in the triple gems? And do we have a strong determination to study and practice the Dhamma? So that is the question. Suppose we have such a strong determination to study and practice the Dhamma, how are we to approach it? We have that strong determination, but how we are supposed to carry out our study and practice? In other words, what are Buddha's instructions as to the approaches or mental attitudes that one should carry while studying and practicing the Dhamma? Let's look at some of the suttas from the Pali Canon now. Now this is Chula Malinka Sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya. Here the Buddha demonstrates the importance of understanding the urgency in life. What is important in life? It is very important to know. So it is very obvious in the case of Prince Siddhartha, when we reflect that he did not want to become a king, even though he was born as a prince in a royal family. He left everything because his focus was to end suffering, to find out a way to end suffering. Now this sutta presents a simile of arrow. It's called a simile of arrow. As you can see on the picture here, somebody was shot by an arrow. Now, the discussion says that when you are shot by an arrow, the most important thing at that moment is to remove the arrow so that you can live, because when you are shot by the arrow, you are in pain. On the other hand, if you have such questions or confusions that, I want to know who shot the arrow first. I want to know how the arrow is made of. The person who shot the arrow, from where he came, what is his color and caste? If you are stuck with all these questions, the Buddha says that you are going to die because of the poisons attached to the arrow, because you are infected by the poison that came with the arrow. So what is important is to remove the arrow. So understanding what is important, what is urgent in life is very important. So this is one example the Buddha gave with the simile of arrow, that one has to be very, very careful with regard to life and and one's attitude to study the Dhamma. So in this Pali passage, some of the things mentioned by the Buddha are, for example, Yava me bhagava na vyakarisati sasato loko teva sasato loko teva abhyakata meva tang malunka putta tathagatena assa ataso puggalo kalang kariya seyatapi malunka putta puriso sallena viddo assa savisena galha pale panena tassa mittamacha yati salohita bisakang sallakatang upattapeyung so evang vadeya natawahang imang sallang aharisami yavanat tang purisang janami yanam hividdo katyo va brahmanova vesova suddhovati. So some of the topics that people always think about and puzzled by them is these things: loko, sasato loko teva, asasato loko teva, and so on. If the world is eternal, if it is not eternal, if it is, how long time the world is persisting. So all these questions, according to the Buddha, are useless, because he says that life is short, samsara is long. Don't waste time and opportunity that you have right now. So that is the meaning that he conveys with this simile. Now this is another simile. This one you can find in the Alagadupama Sutta, where the Buddha asked his disciples, his students, to be constantly vigilant in learning and practice. So here, with the simile of a poisonous snake, the Buddha says how we are supposed to hold the Dhamma. So he compared the Dhamma with a poisonous snake. So he says that you do not want to catch the snake by its tail, because then the snake will be able to bite you. So you have to be careful to hold the snake by its neck. So when you are learning the Dhamma, when you are studying the Dhamma, one has to be very careful why we are doing it. What is the reason for our studying the Dhamma, or practicing the Dhamma? So what it says here is, Ida bhikkave yakacche moga purisa dhammang pariyapunanti suttang geyang veya karanang gathang udanang iti buttakang jatakang abhuta dhammang vedallang te tang dhammang pariyapunitva tesang dhammanang panyaya attang na upaparikkanti tesang te dhamma panyaya attang anupaparikkathang na nijjanang kamanti te uparamba nisamsa cheva dhammang pariyapunanti itivada pamukha nisamsacha yasa chattaya dhammang pariyapunanti tancha sattang nanubhunti tesang te dhamma duggahita digarattang ahitaya dukkaya sangvattanti tankissa hetu duggahitatta bhikkave dhammana. If you hold the Dhamma wrongly, it will lead to your great suffering. Therefore, it is important to hold the Dhamma rightly. How you are supposed to hold? Now here, when the Buddha is talking about the Dhamma, he is referring to this 9th classification of Dhamma, discourse, stanza, and so on. Probably in modern term, it is consisted of Tipitaka. And he is talking to misguided men. Such a person who does not know how to handle the Dhamma is considered as a misguided person. Now, so what he says here is that after you listen to the Dhamma, you should be able to examine the meaning of those teachings with wisdom. So not just listening and memorizing, but reflecting on the teaching. What is the real meaning, true meaning of the teaching? Did I understand them correctly or not? Not examining the meaning of those teachings with wisdom, they do not gain a reflective acceptance of them. Because if you do not reflect on the teaching, if you do not examine the teaching, you do not get the real message. Instead, they learn the Dhamma only for the sake of criticizing others and for winning in debates. And they do not experience the good for the sake of which they learned the Dhamma. So he says that normally what happens is that people study the Dhamma. Why? Because they want to get some knowledge so that they can win in a debate. They can criticize others. According to the Buddha, this is a wrong grasping, wrong approach to study the Dhamma. And this is another simile that is presented in the same sutta. This is called the Simile of Raft. So here the Buddha explains that when you know that you are really understanding the Dharma, you should not even get a hold on the Dhamma. Use the Dhamma, use the teaching as a raft to cross the ocean. So according to the Buddha, the samsara, the cycle of birth and death, is like ocean by using Dhamma as a raft so that one can reach to the other shore, that is Nirvana. So what it says here is one should be very careful with one's engagement in the Dharma so that one is very clear about the purpose, so that one does not get attached to one's learning or even practice of the Dhamma. The Buddha says, because I shall show you how the Dhamma is similar to a raft, being for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping. But why should one make effort to cross over? Buddha says again, because suppose a man in the course of a journey saw a great expanse of water whose near shore was dangerous and fearful, and those further shore was safe and free from fear, but there was no ferry boat or bridge for going to the far shore. So I have shown you how the Dhamma is similar to a raft, being for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping. So when the question arises why we are supposed to cross this ocean of samsara, the reasoning provided by the Buddha is that the samsara is full of suffering. You do not want to be in the suffering. You want to become free from the suffering. So you need to cross the ocean. So this is probably going to be the last sutta with regard to the approach of how to study and practice the Dhamma. I find this sutta is very useful, very important, because it provides a systematic approach. First of all, what it says here is that when you consider yourself to be a monk or to be a nun or to be a practitioner, you should accumulate a certain qualities. So what it says here is sattahi bhikkhave dhammehi samannagato bhikkhu ahuneyo hoti pahuneyo hoti dakhineyo hoti anjali karaneyo hoti anuttarang punyakyatang lokassa katamehi sattahi ida bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammayocha hoti attayocha hoti attayocha hoti mattayocha hoti kalayocha hoti parisayocha hoti puggala paro varanyocha hoti. So what it says here is that when people are offering their respect to any monks or nuns, such a monk or nun should accumulate a certain qualities, and these are the 7 qualities that one should accumulate. The first is being skilled in Dhamma. So it is very important that when we are leading a monastic life, we should spend some time to study and understand the teaching of the Buddha, and not just studying them, being skilled in meaning, trying to understand what each different teaching means, what are the messages they convey. Knowing oneself. So knowing oneself means one has to know about oneself, one's ability, one's capability. For example, capability of one's own, knowledge with regard to Dhamma, and also one's own practice. Knowing the limit. This is also in a way similar to the previous one. One has to be very clear about one's own limitation. Knowing the proper time. So even though you know the Dhamma, you are good in practice, you should be able to know where to speak, where to keep silent, all these matters. Knowing the assembly means, this is of course in the sutta we find the reference to, for example, different communities, community of Samana, community of Brahmana, community of Khattiya. So different groups of people present in the time of the Buddha. So the Buddha is saying that one has to know who belongs to which community, and accordingly one has to approach to these different communities. Knowing the individuals, that is the last one. So I will be talking about the final one, the last one, knowing the individuals. What does it mean? So this is what means when you look at the sutta. Now this chart I made based on the sutta. The sutta says that, for example, there is a certain individual, a certain people come to see the noble ones. Noble ones here means the Arya Puggala, the Buddha's disciples or Arahants or Buddhas, when they come to see, and there are some people who do not wish to visit. So there are two groups of people. There are some people who want to visit these great individuals, great masters, and there are some people who do not want to visit. Those who go to visit, there are some who listen to the teaching given by this master, and there are some, they just go to visit, but they do not pay attention to the teaching. Among those people who go to, listen to the teaching, they pay full attention, but there are some who do not pay full attention. And among the people who pay full attention to the teaching, they keep in mind what is heard. They do not forget. Okay, they keep in mind. But there are some, they listen to the teaching with attention, but they do not keep them in mind. Again, among the people who keep the teaching in mind, they investigate. They try to critically examine the teaching further. They try to understand their meaning. But there are some who do not do that. And among the people who investigate to what is heard, there are some that try to put them into practice, not just investigate the teaching. They try to carry out the practice according to the instruction. But there are some who just investigate, but they do not put the teaching into practice. So the final step says that among those who keep the teaching into practice, they are the ones who act for the benefit of oneself and others. So these are the people that the Buddha appreciate. Now here Buddha says, yo ayang puggalo attahitaya cha patipanno parahitaya cha evangso tenangena pasangso. Such a person who is engaged for the benefit of oneself and others, he is appreciated. And this can be understood, all these steps can be understood in these three simple terms. I think most of you are probably familiar with these three aspects. One is wisdom through hearing, wisdom through thinking, wisdom through cultivation. So first of all, what happens is that we read books or we listen to great masters teaching. But after reading or after listening to this teaching, if we forget, then there is no use. We have to think about the teaching. We have to reflect on the teaching. Then only they will become clearer and clearer. Just thinking and reflecting is not enough. We have to put them into practice. That is called cultivation. So this in Pali, these are called Sutamayi Panya, Chintamayi Panya, and Bhavanamayi Panya. So finally, I would like to say just a few words with regard to teaching. I think you are familiar with so many different teachings from the Buddha. This sutta is one of my favorite sutta. It is very simple to understand, and I feel that this is a very straightforward and good teaching from the Buddha. Now, this is from Rahulovada Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. This teaching is given with a simile of mirror. So it is called mirror simile. So this is a mirror. You can see yourself in the mirror. Now, this is also important because the Buddha gave this teaching to his son, Rahula. So Buddha went to meet Rahula and then asked him, what is the purpose of a mirror? Then Rahula says, for reflection, Venerable Sir. Then the Buddha says, Eva meva ko Rahula, paccavekitva, kayena kammang katabang, paccavekitva, vachaya kammang katabang, paccavekitva, manasa kammang katabang. So the Buddha says, Rahula, that just as the mirror where you can see yourself, in the same way, reflecting in your mind, you have to do your bodily action, your verbal action, and your mental action. So this repeated reflection is necessary. And the Buddha further says that before doing any action or before speaking any words, before thinking anything, The Buddha says that, and during the time when you are doing any action, or even after performing a bodily, verbal, or mental action, you should reflect if the action is beneficial or harmful for oneself, for others, or for both. If it is harmful, he should stop it right there. And if it is beneficial, he should continue to do it. So that was the teaching. I feel very direct and straightforward. As a final note, I would say that, after this teaching, the Buddha told Rahula that, all the great masters of the past, all the Buddhas and enlightened beings of the past, and all the enlightened beings of the present, and all the enlightened beings in the future, everybody followed this, path of practice, repeated reflection. It is questioning oneself. You look at your thoughts. So that is why we find in some text, the Buddha says that attahi attanu natu. Yes, you have so many teachers, but ultimately you are your own teacher. So when talking about, for example, doing actions for the benefit of oneself and others, I feel that the establishment of this Untitled Dhamma English Club by Venerable Dr. Thich Dong Dak is, I think, very good project, because with the establishment of this English club, you are able to practice English, study Dhamma in English, and also I can see in different posts that, as one of the sister mentioned in the beginning, that different speakers are invited to speak on different topics every now and then. So this is also a very good practice where you can get together and listen to some good teachings, and then later on probably you can think about these teachings, discuss about these teachings. So finally, I would say that these are some of the points that I would like to stress in today's discussion. One is we have to value our human existence. We have to know that we are human being, and this becoming a human being is precious, is difficult, is rare, but we have it now. And we are also fortunate to be able to come in contact with the Buddha's teachings, to meet different masters. So what we have to have is, we have to have a firm resolution so that we can carry out our practice. And then we have to put continuous effort until and unless we really truly understand the teaching. And then our direction has to be right. And as it is conveyed in the last sutta, repeated self-reflection, just like a mirror. Mind is compared to a mirror. And then holding the Dhamma rightly, this we can see in the simile of holding a poisonous snake. And then finally, using Dhamma as a raft. So this is how, these are the few points that I'd like to stress. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope that this little Dhamma sharing is useful for everybody. Thank you very much.
Very much, Dr. Bhikkhu Ganapati, for enlightening us the wonderful topic today. Buddha is just on the study and practice the Dhamma. We have got lots of knowledge and useful information that you have given our club members. Through your presentation, I believe that all participants and members here have understood clearly and fully about prominent feature of Buddha's instruction on the study and practice of Dhamma. Once again, thank you so much for your excellent presentation and discussion, dear Dr. Bhikkhu Ganapati. Now it's time for us to come to Q&A session. Anyone who wants to ask our chief guest, kindly open your mic and feel free to ask. No hesitate, please. All questions are warmly welcome in this session, please.
Yes, I'd love to answer any question.
Dhamma brothers and sisters, do you have any question for our chief guest today?
Okay, probably I can ask a question to you. I'd like to know if everybody joining this session today staying together in the same place or in different monasteries.
Um, we we stay at the same monastery when we study. But now we come back our monastery. Yes, we live different monastery, but when study we live in a same place.
I see.
Yes.
And I'd like to say something to Venerable Dr. Thich Dong Dak. We never met personally. Hopefully one day we will meet. So I say that you have been doing a lot of good activities. I see in the picture. It is really great.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Bhikkhu Gabodi. And now they are come back for New Year holiday in Vietnam. That's why they are in different places. Now that's why we are meeting online. So I think after 1 month we'll come back and study in School of Buddhist Studies in my province. So thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. So I think I have a question for you about the study and practice of Dhamma. So can you give me a comparative study of the course, because you just quote the sources from the Pali Tipitaka. So do you have any idea about the study and practice of Dhamma in Mahayana Sutras or Vajrayana Sutras? Because I have seen your presentation on Vajrayana Buddhism on also.
Yeah, thank you for your remark and question. Yes, that was actually about the early history of Buddhism in Bengal, present-day Bangladesh. As you know, during the Pala dynasty, the India and Bengal, including Bengal, of course, it was not separated by then. It was one country. Mahayana Buddhism was strong. So at that time, for example, I think you know the name of great Atisha, Master Atisha from Bengal. He went to Tibet to spread teaching. So that was the time of Mahayana Buddhism. But later on, when the Islamic invasion happened, it was destroyed for many 100 years, about 600 years. And after that, we have a new form of Buddhism now, started in 19th century, mid 19th century, and this is Theravada form of Buddhism. And I think when you talk about Mahayana literature, I have not much knowledge about Mahayana literature, but I know that there are some suttas that talk about skillful means, right? Skillful means that people have to have to understand the teaching oneself and also to help other people. So these great bodhisattvas, and they take up different paths to help different beings. So I think it is also present there. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mandaji. So now I think now come to our students' questions.
Yeah.
Yes. Dear Dr. Bhikkhu Ganapati, our Dhamma brother has a question for you. How do you think about Vietnam Buddhists over Venerable Thích Đông Đắc?
Yeah, I think it is great to have leader monk like Venerable Thích Đông Đắc, who is organizing all these beautiful activities. It is because of his effort that you all come together, including me. As I said, I have never met Venerable, but he approached me, and then I see many of the activities that you carry out. On the Facebook, I see pictures and some video clips. So it is really wonderful. If you have leaders and visionary monks like this, then I think, the future of Buddhism is really very bright. We should get inspiration. It is not easy to have, such visionary people who bring people together with a new concept. And then now here I see that invite people from different parts of the world, from India, from various parts of the world, to give you lecture. I think all the students should be really grateful and should be happy that you are able to meet all these great teachers because of Bante, Venerable